What if being intelligent isn't your golden ticket, but your invisible trap? You're not hated for being wrong. You're hated for being right. You're not ignored because you failed. You're ignored because you made others feel like they failed. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see why history has shown us that intelligence often paints a bullseye on your back and what you can do about it today. The intelligence trap isn't just a clever phrase, it's a cycle, an ancient, almost universal phenomenon baked into human history. Intelligent individuals often find themselves isolated, attacked, or even destroyed by the very societies that could have benefited from their insight. To understand why, we need to travel back nearly 2,500 years to Athens and the trial of Socrates. Socrates wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a political figure. He was, in many ways, just a man who asked too many questions. Plato's Apology gives us Socrates' defense speech at his trial, where he was accused of corrupting the youth and impiety. But if you peel back the political layers, the real charge was simpler. Socrates made people, powerful people, feel stupid. He would challenge the leading sophists of Athens, publicly exposing the flaws in their arguments during open debates. He questioned politicians, revealing their ignorance on matters they claimed to be experts in, and even interrogated poets, showing they could not explain the wisdom they supposedly conveyed. According to Plato, figures like Anytus, a powerful politician who later became one of Socrates' accusers, grew deeply resentful after being intellectually humiliated. This growing anger among Athens' elite set the stage for his eventual trial and execution. Psychologically, what Socrates triggered was something social psychologists today call ego threat, the feeling that your status or worth is under attack. When individuals feel this threat, they react defensively, sometimes even violently, against the source. A 1996 study by Baumeister, Smart, and Bowden found that threatened egotism, not low self-esteem, is often the root of aggression. It's like when someone points out an error in a team meeting at work. Even if the correction is polite, the person being corrected might feel humiliated in front of their peers. Instead of appreciating the help, they might resent the corrector, gossip behind their back, or subtly undermine them later. Not because they were wronged, but because their ego was wounded. Socrates didn't just teach, he exposed. He disrupted comfort zones, and in doing so, he became a social target. Athens didn't just silence him, they made an example of him. The intelligence trap works like this. Intelligence leads to nonconformity. Nonconformity threatens the collective ego. Collective ego demands punishment. But it isn't just ancient Greece. This pattern repeats throughout history, across empires, kingdoms, and democracies alike. I remember in high school, I had a friend named Sam. Sam could do calculus in his head. He wasn't cocky about it. If anything, he was shy. But no matter how quietly he spoke, Sam couldn't hide his brilliance. Teachers loved him. Students, not so much. One day, after answering a particularly tricky question, a classmate muttered just loud enough, "Show off." Sam hadn't bragged. He hadn't even smiled. He had just existed. And that alone was enough to paint a target on his back. I remember Sam withdrawing a little after that, raising his hand less often, blending in a little more, not because he wanted to, but because it was safer. And then there was the 17th century, Galileo Galilei. Galileo's telescope revealed inconvenient truths, that Earth wasn't the center of the universe, that the heavens were imperfect. At the time, the Catholic Church wielded enormous cultural authority. Galileo's discoveries didn't just challenge scientific ideas, they challenged the Church's psychological stranglehold on reality itself. Cardinal Robert Bellarmine famously warned Galileo, quoting the 1616 injunction, to abandon altogether the opinion that the sun is the center of the world and immovable. Galileo refused, and so, despite empirical evidence, he was branded a heretic and placed under house arrest for the rest of his life. Here, again, we see the trap. Knowledge creates dissonance, and dissonance invites retribution. And here's something I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Have you ever seen someone punished, not for doing something wrong, but for simply being right at the wrong time? Let me know your story in the comments below, because history gives us even starker examples. Research today backs up what Galileo lived through. In The Enigma of Reason, 2017, Cognitive scientists Hugo Mercier and Dan Sperber argue that human reasoning evolved not primarily for truth-seeking, but for social justification. In other words, we reason to defend ourselves, not to discover reality. When an intelligent individual presents uncomfortable truths, they inadvertently pull others into cognitive dissonance. Think about the movie Good Will Hunting. When Will, a working-class genius, shows up professors and therapists alike, he's met with everything from admiration to outright hostility. His intelligence disrupts the expected social hierarchy, creating tension not because he is wrong, but because he exposes hidden insecurities. Leon Festinger's 1957 theory of cognitive dissonance explains that humans are motivated to reduce psychological discomfort by either changing their beliefs or attacking the source of that discomfort. Guess which one is easier? Alan Turing cracked Nazi codes. He shortened World War II by an estimated 2 years. But after the war, Turing was persecuted not for what he had done, but for who he was, a brilliant man who didn't fit social norms. In 1952, Britain charged him with gross indecency for being gay. Faced with chemical castration, isolation, and public humiliation, Turing ultimately died from cyanide poisoning, ruled a suicide. Here too, intelligence became a liability, not because it failed, but because it made society's hypocrisies impossible to ignore. Today, the intelligence trap looks a little different, but the dynamics remain. Brilliant innovators are often mocked before they are admired. Whistleblowers are vilified before they are vindicated. Visionaries in science and technology warn of dangers only to be dismissed until it's too late. A 2021 study from the University of Pennsylvania found that highly competent individuals often face competence penalties in social settings. They are perceived as less warm and less trustworthy compared to their peers. The trap has simply evolved. It's no longer a court of Athens or a Vatican tribunal. It's boardrooms, comment sections, and viral smear campaigns. So how do you survive the intelligence trap? First, recognize it. Intelligence alone isn't enough. Emotional intelligence, strategic conformity, and alliance building matter too. Second, don't shrink yourself. Understand the dynamics at play, but never dim your light to comfort fragile egos. As Aristotle once said, there is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. You are not a mistake, you are a mirror. And mirrors by their nature make some people uncomfortable. If you like this video about the historical dives into human psychology, please consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps a lot and keeps us able to make this content. We look forward to seeing you on the next video for more on historic psychology. Thank you for watching. Stay sharp, stay kind, and never apologize for thinking clearly in a world that fears clarity.